Most people imagine aging as a one-way road toward weakness, fragility, and decline. Wrinkles deepen, bones become brittle, and muscles shrink. But what if that picture is incomplete? What if, through the right approach, aging could look different, not as a loss, but as a transformation? Imagine being in your mid-60s, yet stronger, more resilient, and healthier than you were at 40. This is not fantasy. It is biology responding to training, discipline, and science-backed methods. Watch the full video and you will see why these 5 exercises are so important to your health. The real story begins with a simple question. How can a person be stronger at 65 than they were at 40? On the surface, it seems impossible. Muscle mass typically declines after the age of 30, a process known as sarcopenia. Bone density is expected to decrease, cardiovascular function is thought to diminish, and balance becomes more precarious with time. Yet data from carefully measured tests tell a different tale. This is not a story of miracles, but of method. At 40, strength may have plateaued due to poor training strategies, lack of focus on mobility, or overemphasis on aesthetics instead of function. At 65, with a structured program rooted in science, the numbers shift dramatically. The goal is not just to look better, but to perform better across measurable domains. How much force can be produced, how efficiently oxygen is used, how stable the skeleton remains, and how sharp the brain functions. By structuring the comparison as a case study, 40 years old versus 65 years old, we can observe how the body, when trained, adapts in ways that defy common assumptions. This is the lens through which we will explore the next chapters. Strength is the cornerstone of physical independence. At 40, strength is often taken for granted. Lifting groceries, carrying children, or performing daily tasks feels automatic. But over time, without training, muscle fibers shrink, and neural drive to those fibers weakens. The result is a steady decline. Yet strength is also the domain most responsive to resistance training. Studies consistently show that even individuals in their 70s, 80s, and 90s can increase muscle mass and strength with progressive resistance exercise. The adaptations are clear: hypertrophy of type 2 muscle fibers, improved recruitment of motor units, and increased relative strength. The amount of weight moved compared to body weight. At 40, the numbers might have looked average. A squat barely above body weight, a deadlift performed with inconsistent technique, or a bench press hindered by shoulder discomfort. At 65, through systematic progression, the same person may now squat 1.4 times body weight, deadlift with precision, and press without pain. Relative strength improves because body weight is managed and technique is mastered. The lesson here is simple but profound. Strength decline with age is not inevitable. It is largely a consequence of inactivity. Train consistently and the body adapts. Ignore it and strength disappears. Transitioning from strength, we must now consider a quality even more critical for daily life: power. Watch the video till the end, because the last topic will surprise you. And don't forget to discover more tips in our next article and join our community. Stay healthy and focus. Watch your free workout videos and get started today. Strength is about how much force can be produced. Power is about how fast that force can be applied. Rising from a chair, climbing stairs, or catching yourself during a stumble, these depend more on power than raw strength. And power declines at almost twice the rate of strength after the age of 40. But here lies an important discovery. Power is highly trainable, even late in life. By intentionally moving lighter loads quickly, pushing with speed, standing explosively, or performing controlled jumps, older adults can restore the rate of force development. Research shows that sit-to-stand tests become faster, gait speed improves, and fall risk decreases. At 40, explosive training may have been ignored. The focus might have been heavy weights for appearance, not speed for function. At 65, adding velocity-based training means tasks feel lighter and reactions quicker. The nervous system becomes more responsive, and the body more resilient. From power, the natural progression is endurance, because what good is strength and explosiveness without a strong heart and lungs to sustain activity? Cardiovascular fitness is often measured by VO2 max, the maximum amount of oxygen the body can use during exercise. At 40, this number may already be declining if aerobic training was inconsistent. A typical 40-year-old might register an average VO2 max, enough for moderate exertion but not for sustained vitality. At 65, with consistent aerobic training, the results can surpass those earlier years. Interval training, long steady sessions, and consistent walking or cycling elevate stroke volume of the heart, improve mitochondrial density in muscle, and increase oxygen extraction. The 6-minute walk test, a simple clinical measure, becomes a proof of progress as distance covered extends well beyond expectations for age. The point is not to compete with elite athletes, but to reclaim the efficiency of the cardiovascular system. A 65-year-old with a trained VO2 peak can outperform their younger, sedentary self. This shift redefines what it means to age. But the cardiovascular system is only one side of the internal equation. The structure that supports all movement, muscle, fat, and bone, tells its own story. At 40, body composition may have tilted toward higher fat mass, less lean tissue, and unnoticed bone loss. DXA scans, if performed, would show gradual decline in bone mineral density, especially in the spine and hips. These changes often go unnoticed until injury or disease reveals them. At 65, with resistance training and proper nutrition, the data may look dramatically different. Lean body mass increases, fat mass decreases, and bone density stabilizes or even improves. The skeleton adapts to mechanical loading, reinforcing itself against osteoporosis. This is not theoretical. Randomized controlled trials show older adults can gain bone density through high-intensity resistance and impact training. The transformation is measurable. Waist circumference shrinks, thigh circumference grows with muscle, and bone scores shift upward. The skeleton, often viewed as fragile with age, demonstrates plasticity and resilience. And yet strength, power, and bone are only part of functional living. Movement through space, flexible, controlled, and balanced, is what makes independence possible. Mobility is the freedom of joints to move without restriction. Balance is the ability to control that movement against gravity. Together, they form the foundation of autonomy. At 40, mobility might already be compromised. Tight shoulders, stiff hips, limited ankle range. Balance is rarely tested until it fails. At 65, with targeted training, the picture shifts. Full-range strength training, combined with simple mobility drills, restores flexibility. Strength through motion proves as effective as static stretching, sometimes more. Balance improves through challenges, standing on one leg, stepping in different directions, or performing strength tasks with controlled instability. Timed up-and-go tests become faster, gait becomes smoother, and the risk of falling, one of the greatest threats to older adults, diminishes. The body moves freely, confidently, and securely. But beyond muscles and joints lies the organ that defines identity and independence: the brain. The brain responds to exercise in ways that directly affect quality of life. Aerobic training increases hippocampal volume, improving memory and spatial awareness. Resistance training sharpens executive function, enhancing planning and reaction time. Cognitive tests confirm that trained individuals perform better than sedentary peers. Sleep too transforms. Where insomnia may have plagued nights at 40, consistent training at 65 regulates circadian rhythms, deepens restorative stages, and reduces inflammation. Recovery is not just faster, it is more complete. Mood and stress resilience also improve. The release of brain-derived neurotrophic factors supports neural growth, while reduced inflammatory markers correlate with lower risk of depression. The brain and body become synchronized in health. These changes set the stage for understanding the underlying mechanisms that explain why the 65-year-old body can feel younger than its 40-year-old version. Every improvement observed in strength, power, endurance, mobility, balance, or cognition has biological explanations. Muscles adapt by increasing protein synthesis and motor unit recruitment. Bones remodel according to mechanical stress, thickening, and strengthening. Tendons adjust stiffness to transmit force more efficiently. The heart enlarges stroke volume, while blood vessels improve elasticity and oxygen delivery. At the cellular level, mitochondria multiply, inflammation decreases, and genetic pathways linked to longevity activate. These processes are not exclusive to the young. They occur in trained older adults with remarkable consistency. The message is clear. Exercise does not only slow aging, it actively remodels the body to resemble its younger state. The 65-year-old becomes not a weaker version of the past, but a re-engineered, upgraded version of themselves. This understanding naturally leads to the practical question: what kind of training produces these results? If you like this video, you'll also enjoy this one that's appearing on your screen now. I'll see you there.